So in today's video, I'm sharing how to be assertive in your codependency recovery. So in this video, you're going to learn 10 baby steps that you can do so that your relationships are where you want them to be. But if you're new, my name's Michelle Ferris. I'm a psychotherapist and I love helping people create relationships that work. So first, let's talk about the meaning of codependency. Codependency is basically a relationship pattern where we hyper-focus on getting the love and approval from others because we can't give it to ourselves. And this creates one-sided, unhealthy dependencies that really hurt us in the long run. So the recovery process is about undoing that and building a stronger sense of self. So some common symptoms of codependency include putting other people's needs ahead of your own, people-pleasing and not setting boundaries, avoiding conflict for fear of upsetting somebody, getting into relationships that don't serve you, having a really hard time letting go of people and outcomes because you feel overly responsible. These are all struggles in codependency, and being assertive is also one of them because we learn to hide our true selves in hopes of being liked or loved in our relationships. So here are 10 baby steps you can take for being more assertive in your codependency recovery. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to break the silence and speak up, because you might not even feel comfortable talking in social situations. You might find yourself asking questions or being really quiet because you're afraid to say the wrong thing. So the first step is to just start using your voice. And one way to do this is to just find something to agree with in the conversation, because the goal here is to start feeling more comfortable speaking up. Doesn't matter what it's about, because what this is going to do is it's going to help you find your voice. The second way to start being more assertive in codependency recovery is I want you to start sharing a popular opinion. Share something that you already know other people are most likely going to agree with. Because what this is going to do is it's going to help give you that positive feedback that it's okay to have a voice and to speak up about something. Even if it's something super basic, it's okay. The goal here is to gain confidence that you can find your voice and use it, because that's going to make you feel more a part of socially. And I really want that for you. Now, the next step for how to be more assertive in your codependency recovery is I want you to share your unique point of view about something. This is going to be a little bit more of a risk because I want you to think about what is something you really want somebody to know about. What's a value or something that you feel passionate about that you want to share in a social context. Now, what's going to make this easier is to do it with someone you feel really safe with. That's super important. You never want to practice these skills in the beginning with toxic or narcissistic or really difficult people, because it's going to be much harder. And I want you to succeed. And the way to do that is to purposely practice these skills with people you feel comfortable with. Now, when you're sharing your unique point of view, I want you to do one other thing, is I want you to create a mantra, a positive self-talk statement that says something like, my voice is important. What I have to contribute matters. Something that's going to keep you focused on your value and your worth. Because in the next step, what I want you to do is if somebody disagrees with you or invalidates your point of view, I want you to use that mantra. I want you to tell yourself, you know what? Their opinion has nothing to do with me. Their opinion doesn't mean I don't have value. Whatever you can tell yourself to stay calm and to separate from their reaction. Because when you start to express your own unique points of view on things, other people might disagree, and that's okay. That doesn't mean anything negative about you. It just means that you might have a different point of view, and that's okay. That's part of having a healthy relationship. The next step for how to be more assertive is share how you feel emotionally with somebody that's safe. This is another risk, because what I want you to do is maybe you're having a rough time right now and you haven't really said anything to anybody. This might be your chance to say, you know what, I'm really struggling right now and I would love it if you could listen or give me some support, because that is going to be a way for you to build healthier, long-lasting relationships. Because if you feel supported and respected, that person is most likely a keeper. By the way, write your positive mantra in the comments. I want to support you in doing that. The next way to be more assertive in your recovery is to either make a request or state what you need. This is very powerful because what you need matters. And part of where we get stuck in our codependency is that we think our needs don't matter. We're so hyper-focused on what other people need that we really don't know what we need. And part of healthy relationships and being assertive is to speak up and say, you know what, I'd really like it if we went to this restaurant instead of the one we always go to. Or I'd really like to go to this movie. Or I have a different opinion. Here's what I think. What I want you to do is focus on the action of speaking up, because the success is in doing it, not in the other person's reaction. Because part of our codependency recovery is to realize we have to detach from what other people think and feel about us, because it's none of our business. Even when it's somebody we love, we're going to need to be able to tolerate them having their own opinion of us. And that has no bearing on your value, because it doesn't. We just get caught up in that when we get into that unhealthy dependency. If you relate so far to this video, say me too in the comments. I'm so glad you're here. So the next way you can be more assertive is to detach when things get uncomfortable. Say somebody is doing or saying something that you really don't agree with or that you find hurtful. What I want you to do is I want you to practice detachment, which is the easiest boundary you can practice, because it's basically silently not participating in whatever they're doing. So instead of staying and listening to it and getting more hurt and upset, you get to remove yourself. Simply put, detaching is letting somebody else have their consequences and you not needing to fix or change it. Instead, you're going to vote with your feet and you're going to back up. You might excuse yourself and go to the store, get a cup of coffee. Do something instead of staying in that situation that you find really hurtful. So the next way you can be more assertive is to actually practice a boundary. Say no about something that is really important to you. Maybe you don't want to commit to helping a friend all day. Instead, maybe you're willing to do an hour. Or maybe you have to say, you know what, I really need time alone this weekend, and ask your partner to watch the kids so that you can have a few hours to yourself. Setting a boundary means taking care of yourself. It doesn't mean changing what the other person is doing, because we don't have control over that. And in our codependency recovery, we realize that the most powerful boundary we have is to choose in or out of something. It's not about changing the external world, because let's face it, we can't. But we definitely can take care of ourselves better, and that's what boundaries help us do. So the next way you can be more assertive in this process is to assess what's worked and what hasn't worked. Because as you're practicing these skills, we always want to go back and review, especially learning from our mistakes. I can't tell you how many times I've learned so much more from doing it wrong than doing it right. Because when I do it wrong, I realize, oh, I got stuck in fear, or I didn't really give myself permission to say my truth. And I find out more and more about where my work is in recovery. And that's what I want for you. So I want you to assess what worked. Did the person listen to you? Did it improve or not improve the relationship? If you're wanting more help with assessing the quality of your relationships, get my free checklist that walks you through the process of who's supportive, who's toxic, and assessing your own relationship behavior. Because as we practice our recovery, we always want to assess what's working so that we can acknowledge it and see what isn't working so that we know what our next steps are. So the next baby step for how to be more assertive in codependency recovery is just keep practicing with people. This is going to take time. Codependency recovery is not something we do quickly. Each time you practice, you're going to learn something. You're going to learn something about yourself, and you're probably going to learn something about the relationship, which is a good thing. Because sometimes in codependency recovery, often we have to look at what relationships may need to be let go of because they're not serving us anymore. And that's okay. I know for me, I've held on for dear life to a lot of people over the years until I built enough self-trust and support that helped me do that. And that's what I want for you. Now, the last step is you're going to find the secret to healing one-sided relationships, which is when you do these steps, you're going to notice two things. You're going to notice who are the relationships that are obviously meant to be keepers because they love and honor you. And who are the relationships that clearly don't serve you anymore? So this is going to be about building your awareness and letting people naturally fall away. Because the heart of codependency is to not glob on and try to keep a relationship going that doesn't serve us anymore. Now your next step is go watch my video on setting boundaries, because that is your next step in codependency recovery. Thanks so much.